So that leaves us with our final presentation, which is Katie Yeloushan. She's also Esri. So it's all yours, Katie.
So thank you for having me, everybody. My name is Katie Yeloushan. I'm a solution engineer here at Esri. And today we're going to talk about ArcGIS and public safety and that common operating picture. And some of the topics we talk about today, they're going to be very similar to what we've heard earlier with our presenters and the common workflows we're seeing within the public safety space and state and local government. Before coming to Esri, I was in emergency management. So some of the background, has helped us provide these common workflows and challenges that we see today. So first, I'm just going to start it off with a question for everybody. And you can drop it in the chat or just kind of sit there and think about it. But what are some challenges do public safety personnel face today that you guys can think of? And it might just be challenges that y'all face in your everyday workflows as well. Some challenges that we see that are very common are time, money, and just additional staffing, along with communication. So communicating internally with your agency and external agencies as well. And then real-time collaboration. So that real-time data aspect, what is happening out in the field, how can we communicate that back to our command staff to perform situational awareness and responder safety. So like Peter mentioned, I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna go over these topics, and then if we miss anything, we're gonna recap on them at the end here. But there's four main workflows that we wanna focus in public safety for ArcGIS. So the first one being field operations, the second one being decision support, and then performing analytics, and then engaging our organization and the community members. So field operations is a critical part of providing situational awareness, giving eyes to the command staff and running operations. I first want to provide some context about field operations and how it fits in the framework of Esri. So field operations provides that location sharing aspect for our mobile workers so they can provide information back to command staff faster, more efficiently, and therefore providing better situational awareness. We have many field apps that we incorporate in the ArcGIS ecosystem, but today I really want to focus on field maps. The ArcGIS field maps is focused in that all-in-one aspect and concept. So ArcGIS field maps takes our 5 different field mobility apps and incorporates them into one single platform. So back in 2020, when the first stage of ArcGIS field maps was released, we incorporated ArcGIS Collector, Explorer, and Tracker. In the near future, we're looking to include Workforce and Navigator as well. So by incorporating all these apps into one single platform, we take the the need to download different apps to do one single task at hand. So we perform a simpler, streamlined manner. Rather than having to move between different apps and asking the folks to remember their logins, update the different projects, they can now just deploy and download one single app. They can offline their maps and content as well, and it provides that more single app use platform. So within the public safety world, we have 3 different examples here. The first one is that wildfire boundary. So as I'm out in the field with my field maps project, I can see where my current location is. I can see where that wildfire boundary is, and we can set up geofencing within ArcGIS field maps. So that way it can alert me if I'm getting close to that boundary or not, and maybe I need to pull back or get additional resources to help me in that situation. The second example here in the middle is actually a customer example. So it's a fire captain up in Cornelius Fire Department here in Mecklenburg County, and they are performing search and rescue efforts on Lake Norman. If you've ever been to Lake Norman, it's a huge man-made lake in Mecklenburg County, and it can be very hard and very busy at times to perform these search and rescue efforts. So they needed a platform to share that data and information that they're collecting out on these search and rescue efforts back to the command post. So you can see their breadcrumbs there of where the boats have been and haven't been. You can see clue points that they're dropping as they perform interviews for witnesses to the search and rescue effort. And this allows the command staff to see which part of the grid has been searched and which still needs to be searched. Lastly, we have damage assessment. So this is a really big one in public safety. We talked a little bit about flooding earlier today, especially in the North Carolina area. So we have our little blue dot moving along here. I can turn on my trail. So this allows me out in the field to see where I have been and the houses that I have searched, but also communicates that back internally with the command staff as well, where we haven't searched yet, or maybe a house that we have missed. So now that we have all this great data coming from the field, how do we make our data work for us? How do we communicate that back internally with the folks making the data-driven decisions? And we can do that by incorporating all this data into the ArcGIS ecosystem. So we have our field data coming from ArcGIS field maps, but we also have our internal data as well. So that might be our CAD, our camera system, our AVL, our 311 data. We can ingest that all into the ArcGIS ecosystem. And then we have this, Internet of Things, all this other big data sources that we can incorporate. So living atlas data like live traffic, weather, demographic data. We can pull all of that into this nucleus of information and platform and push it into an ArcGIS dashboard. And a good example of this is, we have our field data again coming into the ArcGIS ecosystem and putting into a dashboard. So we have inspections for fire hydrants. So a fire chief could have this dashboard up in his office. He can see which fire hydrants they have inspected or that need to be inspected. Does he need to send more crew out to do this inspection? And then our damage assessment dashboard as well. So you can easily see this in an emergency operation command center. They can see where the total damage is at, the amount, is it time to submit this data to FEMA to get reimbursement or provide additional resources to that specific area. So just at a very quick glance, we can get a good concept and awareness of what is happening. And back to our to EJ, our Cornelius fire captain here. This is what it looks like when they're viewing that data coming from the boats out on the lake. So they're sitting in the boathouse, which is their incident command center, and they're seeing what has been searched and what hasn't been searched. They can perform or draw new polygons and assign them to the different boat crews to perform that search. And what's really cool about this is this effort, the search and rescue effort, used to take them several weeks to perform. So communication between different operational periods, some data or information would be lost along the way. But by implementing this technology, they went from several weeks to just several hours. So going back to the very beginning, when we face some challenges, it's that time, money, and resources. Not only are we, providing the search in a faster manner, finding that victim, but also providing our resources back in the street, putting them back on duty, and getting them out to the community. And then here we have some examples of our big data and our own data coming in. So our own camera feeds, our AVLs, our CAD incidents coming into dashboards. So again, the fire chief can have this up and he can easily see the turnout time for the week and the averages. A lot of times the chiefs get media inquiries about certain statistics within their community and they have to answer them on the spot. This puts pressure on the PIO and the internal GIS staff department to provide that data analytics back to the fire chief to get it out to the media. But if he has his own dashboard up in his office, he can easily assess it, get the information for himself, and then provide that to the media inquiry. In the upper left-hand corner here, we have an incident dashboard. So we have those weather watches and warnings coming in from our Living Atlas. We have our shelter status as well. So this is really important. Again, we're talking about flooding, damage assessments, hurricanes within this area. We have the need to open up a lot of shelters. Many times that occupancy level and status is just written on a piece of paper and then shared with whomever in the EOC and updating it kind of the old fashioned way. But by implementing it with maybe a survey 123, so those folks out at those shelters can easily just fill out survey 123 or a field maps application, submit, how many folks they have at that shelter back to the EOC. We can start to prepare if we need to open up an additional shelter or not. And as some of you might know, if you've worked in the sheltering world, it's not easy. It's not like you can just walk in and put the light switches on and open up a shelter. It takes a lot of time and effort and communication between different agencies within our community to get that shelter up and running. Within the North Carolina area as well, we do, we have Duke Energy, and on their website, they have a map of their power outages and the folks that it does affect. But they also provide that rest in service or that feature layer in ArcGIS Online. So if you wanted to, you could take their layer and ingest it into your own dashboard. And now you have a total indicator of power outages and folks affected in that area. So it can help you prepare to where to provide resources, maybe get those folks generators and so forth. So now we did the field data collection. We pulled it into a dashboard to help us, provide that real-time data decision support. Now, what do we do with that data afterwards? How are we going to incorporate that into our after action report? And we can do that with analytics. So we have an ArcGIS dashboard, and this is just some crime data and statistics coming in, but we can easily incorporate charts and graphs into our dashboards. So this can tell us the trend over time, if data or if crime is increasing or decreasing, what type of crime, what type of day. And what I really like about these two examples here is that you don't have to be a crime analyst or a GIS analyst to ingest and take in this information that is provided to you. The police chief can sit here. He can filter through the dashboard for type of crime, day, and he can perform his own analysis, and he can come to his own conclusion on how he wants to move efforts forward for the future for his police department. And while ArcGIS dashboard can help perform some of these analytics, we also have other tools to help us dive a little bit deeper into our data. And that is ArcGIS Insights. So you can, this is a SaaS offering, so it's part of ArcGIS Online, or you can deploy it on your desktop as well. So you can immediately start exploring your data and other departments' data. You can create interactive charts, tables, maps, and create a storytelling process as well. And a little bit later at the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you an example of ArcGIS Insights. Lastly, how do we share out all of this great information applications that we've created? A lot of the times in the public safety space, I would have folks come up to me like, Katie, that's great. I love this dashboard or survey, but I don't know how to find it. I don't know how to log into ArcGIS Online. I don't know how to search for the little dashboard icon. If I can't use it, if I can't find it, right? So how do we provide content behind this data and applications and put it in a format that people can easily find it and access it, then to utilize it? And there's a million different ways we can do this, but some of the trends and favorites that we've been seeing is the utilization of ArcGIS hub sites and ArcGIS Experience Builder. So the two on the bottom are ArcGIS Experience Builder. One is more of a simpler one that we've seen kind of like a web app builder using that same template. And the other one is a situational awareness report with a little bit more customization. So I like these two examples because it shows how simple we can be with Experience Builder, or you can get really, really custom as well. And the two at the top are just public-facing hub sites, but you can see there is a sign-in option, which is really great. So I can have a public-facing hub site, but also incorporate internal data and information as well. And on the next slide, I'm going to show you a little quick demo of how to perform that. So this is a public-facing hub site. And if I want to go to layout, I have different options here, but I want to incorporate some internal data into this public-facing hub site. So I'm going to scroll down to where I want to incorporate that data. I'm going to add a new row by simply dragging and dropping. There's different settings here, so I can change the text color, the layout, the background color, so maybe so it will stand out to those internal folks. I can include a background image, or I can create custom CSS classes. I'm going to go back to layout. And I'm going to select the internal application that I want to include in this row. So again, I'm going to drag and drop it. I'm going to select the application. So for this demo, I'm clicking data from the earthquake in Turkey that I want to keep internal. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to go back to edit my row settings. Here we can see the same settings we were looking at earlier, but at the very bottom there, we see visibility. So if I expand that, I can match the hub sharing settings, or I can limit it to a specific group. You can see how it highlighted yellow around that row now that I just added. And now that specific application is only visible to those in that specific group. Okay, I'm going to show you two examples. Can everybody see my web browser okay with the examples on it?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So this is an example from Hurricane Ian from Key West. They pushed this out during Hurricane Ian. And what I really loved about this example is that they didn't just include damage assessment from buildings and houses, but also different like debris removal, emergency protective measures, utilities that were affected, and then debris sites that need to be picked up. So as I zoom in here, I can click on a utility. I can see that it was destroyed and the street address, and then that photo as well. So maybe this helps us plan for next time now that we have all this data. Maybe we need to increase infrastructure around that utility site. And as I zoom out, I can see that this bridge was severely affected as well. Again, I can open up my photos and see some boats that were destroyed within this area. Moving over to the debris piles, you can see that we have some here. And if I click on it, I can see the types of vegetation and that photo. So maybe this helps prepare for, what equipment we need to send out to that specific area to remove that debris, if it's a large item. So we can see here we need, maybe a bigger truck to help move these couches out of the way and where to take this debris to get rid of it. Within this web app, I can also download the data. So a lot of times, they like to see the dashboard, they like to see the web applications, but they still do want a hard copy of this data just for reference. So you can easily download, but with the options over here, this data and share it out with whomever you would like. Moving over to ArcGIS Insights. Some of you might be familiar with ArcGIS Story Maps. I know Ben showed us an awesome one earlier. And ArcGIS Insights provides that, it can be solely data and charts, or you can provide content behind it as well. So you can include images or content like verbiage around the data that you're displaying to whomever you're presenting this to. So you can see here as I move around my map of community risk and the buildings by the age of their structure, my maps down here move around and filter as well. So if I click on this area with older buildings in my community, I can see that it's highlighted with my population index. So maybe I have a higher population with older buildings. And for emergency management or fire, incidents, that could be an issue. And this can help us plan for that. As I scroll down, I can see my response time performance. So is it in that 9% threshold that we're looking for? I can pull in my incident call volume. Again, just an example of different ways we can tell the story of our incident. Maybe I want to look at the call volume for, let's see, Wednesday at noon. And as I click on that, my other charts and maps filter as well. Moving down here, we talked a lot about resources. So what resources are being used the most and what time of day? So I can see here the time of day between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. of a really high volume for this resource. Maybe I need to provide additional resources or expand my fire department footprint within this area. And that leads us down here to drive time. So this one, I love this example because we do have a lot of customers from a lot of fire chiefs coming to us, and they need a way to present to the city council a reasoning behind opening up a new fire station. The fire chief, they've been around for a long time. They know their community like the back of their hand, and they can tell you that they need a new fire station in this one specific area, but they need to prove that to the city council to get that funding. So this, map, you can have your incidents, you can have your drive time, and you could take this insights project and show them that within this certain area, I have a high volume of incidents and I cannot reach them within a 4, 8, 12-minute drive time. And this really gets, the message across and helps him present his case to the city council. Just wrapping up here again, going over what we covered. So we talked about providing situational awareness with field mobility, and then how to integrate that field data and other data sources and big data sources into the ArcGIS ecosystem to provide decision support. and then how to perform analysis on those spatial and non-spatial data sets within ArcGIS dashboard and ArcGIS Insights. And lastly, how do we, take all this great information, applications, and put it in a platform to engage your agency, other agencies, and the community as well. Before I open it for questions here, I know this is very public safety focused, but I think as we saw today, this kind of workflow and messaging can work across different aspects and departments within your day-to-day life. So what can you take from the presentations today and start implementing it tomorrow? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie. So we did have a question in general on all of the presentations and the dashboards that are being shown. Are they available to look at, on their own, or take that and be able to use it towards what they want to use it for?
Yeah, some of the ones I have in my presentation, they are on our solutions page. So I can send out that link afterwards if that would be helpful, or drop it in the chat here.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I definitely agree that, and that's kind of how I feel when I attend these NCOG events, that maybe necessarily the presentation isn't geared towards what you're working in, but there's definitely something that you can take from it and use towards your goals in your organization. So I hope that everybody was able to do that. It doesn't look like we have any questions right now.
Jackie.
Yeah.
I did see one. I don't know where it went, but I remember what it was. They
Okay.
asked if the demonstration she was using or any of the materials she was using was used in ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Portal.
Yes.
I can't find that one anymore, but it was in there. I promise.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Yeah, all of those were in ArcGIS Online.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much. Since we don't have any other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up our meeting. And I want to thank everybody again for, taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend the meeting with us, the symposium with us. And I hope you were able to get a lot of beneficial thoughts and processes out of it. And we look forward to seeing you at our next event. So have a good one. Thanks, everybody.